going to tell you a story that's in the book of Matthew. And I'm going to read a couple words first from that. This is in Matthew chapter 25. And it's all about sheep and goats. And I'm going to see how well you know your sheep and goats here in a few minutes. But here are some of the verses. And I hear my microphone was going off. Here's verses out of the Bible. So after I read you this, I'm going to ask you a couple questions. When Jesus comes into his glory, he's returning, and all the angels with him, he will sit on his glorious throne. He's going to judge all of us. And so he will gather the nations all around him. That's everybody in the world. And he'll separate the people one from another. Just like a shepherd separates his own sheep or his goats. You know, goats have a shepherd where they raise goats, and sheep have a shepherd as well. He's going to put the sheep on his right. So for me, that would be over here. He's going to put the goats over on the left. Now, sheep and goats. How many of you can recognize a sheep or a goat? Okay, I'm going to ask you whether you can tell me what you think this is. What do you think, Sal?
Goat.
It's a sheep. I picked this picture because the sheep has his tongue out, and I like that. Doesn't take much to entertain me. You're right. Now, what about this fellow? What's that? That's a goat. I like this picture because he had a flower. He's probably going to eat it the minute after this picture is taken. Okay? So these are sort of adult sheep and goats, aren't they? Sort of tell pretty quickly. You know, with the ears, with all the wool on the sheep. Goats, their fur is flatter. Okay? That's when they're all grown up. So, now, I'm going to ask you whether you think which of these are sheep and which of these are goats. Okay? So this guy over here, what do you think this is? That is a sheep. These are all little babies, sheep or goats. How about this fellow right here?
Sheep. Goat.
Goat. This is a goat. How about this fellow?
Sheep. Goat.
This is a goat also. Amazing. Okay? How about up top here?
Goat.
That's a goat. And you can tell because it has some horns, although even sheep don't have horns. But those are horns shaped like goat. That a goat would have. That's a sheep. What about this? That's also a sheep. Okay, so it wasn't quite so easy when they're babies, right? Yeah. So do you think Jesus knows which are sheep and which are goats? I think so. You do. Why is that so?
Because goats have horns and goats pretty much eat anything except metal. They're like, must eat. And
Yes.
on person.
They eat just about everything.
Right.
So what the Bible lesson today is about is that Jesus knows who are sheep and who are goats. Now, why is this part of the story? Well, in this story, Jesus uses some more words, okay? And he says, those who are on my right, those are the sheep. He says, when I was hungry, you fed me. When I was thirsty, you gave me a drink. When I was a stranger, you invited me into your home. When I was naked, didn't have any clothes on, you gave me clothes. And when I was sick, you cared for me. And when I was in prison, you visited me. And the people said, we don't remember doing that for you, Jesus. When did we do that for you? And So then he turns to the goats and he says, He says, I was hungry and you didn't feed me. I was thirsty and you didn't give me a drink. I was a stranger and you didn't invite me into your home. I was naked and you did not give me any clothing. I was sick and in prison and you didn't help me. And they said, whoa, what do you mean, Jesus? When did we not feed you or give you a drink or help you? He says, well, when you didn't do that for my brothers and my sisters, you didn't do it for me. So what Jesus is telling us is not that we have to work for our salvation, but when we believe in Jesus and we are disciples of Jesus, we do this type of work in love for our brothers and sisters. Okay? Now, how many of you have seen somebody on the street with a sign like this? Yeah. People are like that all through Minneapolis. So what does this say? Read this out. Someone can read that.
Homeless, hungry, God bless you, anything else.
Anything else. Okay? So you can see these types of signs all over, not just Austin, really anywhere. And these are people who have pretty much nothing. Okay? They're asking for our help. And so, what do? Well, you can, but some people are afraid, or some people aren't sure. So, something that Miss Callie has made up here with other people, I know Jacob and Bonnie. Jacob, what's this? Jacob called this a blessing bag. Miss Callie calls it a We Care kit. I have heard it also at another church that I used to worship at called a manna pack. And so look at what's in here. You see what's in here? What do you see? You see a little bit of food, like a protein bar. There's some sausages, water. What are these? These are some of the most important things because their feet get wet and they need dry feet, dry socks. Pretzels, that would be my favorite, and a piece of candy. And so I'm going to, if you want to take one to keep in your car, the next time that you see somebody and you have the courage to roll down your window, you may give that to them. And what I always say, it's a chance to say hello, and may God bless you. And they always say, thank you, thank you. Yes, Charlie. You did. Good for you. And so we are, when we do that, we are helping people along the way, just like Christ has asked us to. Okay? Let's stand and pray. Can we hold hands? I like holding hands. Sal, your knees hurt when you get up?
That's
you're too young for that. That's what I'm supposed to say. Dragons are bad. Okay. Dear God, thank you for all of us, even the dragons. Thank you for the people that we meet on the street. Help us to reach out to them and give them your blessing. Help them to know that you love them just the same as everybody else, that you care for them, and that you are allowing us to bless them with our own good thoughts. Help us to be good disciples. Help us to love you, Jesus. Amen.
Amen.